Boys and girls, hello, welcome to another edition of Iron Horse Weekly. This week we're discussing the new Accurascale Class 66. We've got some updates on the new layout, and I'm weathering my Hornby 66 too. Let's have a look, see how we get on. So some of you may or may not know, but Accurascale this week at the Scottish Highway Lands Muller Railway Show, whatever it was, decided to announce they're doing a Class 66. Now, this was met with a mixed bag of reactions from the modern railway community, shall we say. I, for one, am happy to hear it. I mean, they're not starting from scratch. The tooling they're using is actually the old Hattons Tooling, which, to be fair, was really nice. Now, when the Hattons model first came about, it did have its issues. There was problems with bits and pieces falling off, and there was an issue with the axle boxes. Even though they rotated, they actually made the loco wobble. And this was largely the reason why I decided not to go and buy a Hattons Class 66. I have one Hornby Class 66, which is like a Mickey Mouse version, and I have a Bachmann Class 66, which is arguably been the de facto connoisseur's choice, if you will, for the past 10, 15, 20 years. But apparently last year, I believe it was towards the end of the year, they struck a deal with Hattons to buy the tooling off them, and Accurascale have actually taken it upon themselves to amend and adjust the tooling to fix the issues that people had with the original tooling from Hattons. Mainly the wobbly axle boxes have been adjusted and fixed, and apparently they're working on those and they no longer cause the loco to wobble and derail and mess around. But Accurascale, being Accurascale, have also seen fit to bring it into the line with the rest of their locomotives, i.e. they've fitted onboard stay alive capacitance, sound readiness and speakers and things and bits and pieces. They've also readjusted the full circuit board as well, so you've now got access to all the lighting configurations available on the Class 66, something which the Hornby one doesn't even offer at all, and the Bachmann one does, but it's technically still wrong because it doesn't illuminate both of the headlights for daytime running, and it well should do. Obviously you can adjust this yourself with some modeller's licensing and some LEDs and what have you, but for those of us not comfortable enough with that, especially with DCC fitting it, I mean, here you go, for example, they've fitted the magnetic roof section thing from the Deltic, which is a fantastic idea, making it easy for anyone to chuck a decoder in there and have your lovely locomotive DCC fitted. So hopefully when the loco arrives, and it's scheduled to arrive early 2024, all the issues that people have sort of pegged it for having won't be there, and we can have a nice, lovely, proper, de facto British Class 66 that actually represents the backbone of the United Kingdom's freight industry. And yes, I have one on pre-order. So here we are then with the new layout, the Steve Thomas line, as I've named it, as it is going to be I suppose you could call it a heritage line as such, which allows me to do pretty much whatever I want within reason, but it is a memorial layout for my dad. So this week I have caught a cold again, so my voice sounds absolutely awful. And that said, all we're going to do now is just take a look at the process I went through laying the track. I have to say that the little track screws I've got from DCC Concepts, you can just see the little blue tub down there, really does make this whole process so much easier than it has been in the past. As well as having a proper soldering iron, which funnily enough I actually bought from DCC Concepts a few weeks ago, and it actually works really well. This thing gets up to 400 degrees in, I'd say, a couple of 10-20 seconds, something like that, and it regains its heat really well once you've done the soldering, so it's fantastic for soldering rails. In the past I've always come and stuck with the, joining the wires to the rails for droppers and what have you, and it's a step which has always been laboured because the iron I was using wasn't getting hot enough despite blathering it with plenty of flux and things, and it just didn't work very well. The track cutters also help make the rails nice and easy, and they're so fine that I was actually able to join two pieces of rail together just by soldering them without any fish plates or connectors whatsoever. They're on the bottom left-hand side of the layout, which I'll show you at another point. One thing that I didn't remember to do was to put insulated fish plates in here, and we'll hear more about that later on. At the moment, we're just working on what's going to be the goods yard. I'm going to have a head shunt there for the passenger trains and goods trains to run round on the main loop, and then they can shunt into these two little sidings on the bottom there. Going to have the goods yard, for lack of a better word, accessed from both sides, so it'll come between the head shunt and the second road of the fiddler yard. So there's going to be vehicles being unloaded and hopefully lots of visual interest and little cameo scenes going on and things. So I'm really looking forward to getting that bit started. So I'm just going to shut up for a minute while I rest my voice and let you folks watch my soldering. So now with the magic of television, I'll just show you where I plan to put the goods yard buildings and platforms and whatever. So there'll be some sort of a platform there where goods could be unloaded from a van, and the middle line, I suppose you can see it now, would be used for storage, and then vehicles could come between the middle line and the head shunt to unload like flat wagons and things like that. Okay folks, so that's about it for this morning. I spent a good couple of hours getting the track work sorted out, wiring in the power feeds. Now, one thing I forgot to do, this is the first time I've worked with electro frog points, so I didn't use insulating frog joiners. So all I've done is just make little slits in the track where there should be a join in the circuit, or a break in the circuit, should I say, to avoid short circuits. Everything runs nicely, as you can see the loco moves where it's supposed to now. I can run it onto the fiddler yard, which will also act as a head shunt. So the next step is going to be ballasting, which is lovely and boring. So that said, we'll carry on with that a bit later on. Let's move on. Okay, it's the morning after, and as you can clearly see, I've been playing trains. Now, we are currently on the shaky hand cam of doom, but you can see the Q1 there, sat nicely, waiting to do its thing. You'll notice as well that the wagons on this layout all have 3-link chain and hook couplings. That's because I want to really make this little layout as authentic as possible. So let's just have a quick look at how good I am, or not good I am, with the 3 links. Okay, get the hook in there. There we are. I'm normally quicker than that. It's because it's on camera. So draw this lot forward. We'll get it to we've got those wagons at the front there, into the first side in there. There we are. There we go. Not that hard. You just have to believe in yourself. I think we'll drop these these 3 flats off and this little plank wagon as well. Then we'll put the 2 goods vans back on the other side in there. See, unhooking them is a lot easier. This cold really has done a number on me. Let's get this in there lively. bit quicker than we should do, really, but there we are. There we are. Easy. 3-link couplings, who'd have thought it? Anyway, let's move on. So all this talk of new Class 66s has got me excited, and I wanted to finally weather my Hornby railroad / not a railroad, but it actually is a railroad Class 66. And it needs to be said from the very start, I was always wanting this one to be particularly heavy in terms of the finish we have with the weathering, because, you know, these locos can vary from anywhere from being absolutely factory fresh, pristine and clean to absolutely end of the world mucky little duckies. So it was very much a quick and dirty job, if you will. I mean, the whole process only took me about half an hour anyway, and this is just the sped up process of that half an hour. And all I'm doing here, first and foremost, is just coating the model with a nice coat of Humbrol matte coat. This just gives the powder something to stick to and grab to. Then, depending when you apply the powders, after you've applied the matte coat there, will determine what sort of effect you have. For example, you can get just a nice dusty effect, or you can get a really dirty, mucky, matty, grimy effect from it too. But before I can do any of that, the tin lid of this enamel thinners is giving me more difficulty than it ever should have done in the first place. Finally broke it off, just so we can clean the brush. Anyway, let's crack on. And I'm going to keep stum for a minute now and let you guys just enjoy the process of the loco getting weathered and listen to a bit of music. If you don't want to watch the weathering video section, that's absolutely fine. Just skip ahead a couple of minutes and you can see the rest of the video then. But before you do that, please don't forget to like and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. An unbelievable amount of my viewers come from people that aren't actually subscribed, so come on guys, we're almost at 1,000. Anyway, time to shush. Enjoy the video. Right, so just done a little quick weathering video on the Hornby 66, which is this one. I've weathered the Batman 66 previously, which is this one. Now, we're looking at the comparison between these two, and we're also going to take into consideration the new retooled Hattons / Accurascale, Hattons, whatever you want to call it, version, which is coming out soon, which has been announced recently. So, if you look at the two models that we have before us, it really is a case of acceptable and acceptable from 2 foot away. It's just things like the finely detailed on the models. The sound boxes, for example, on the Batman 66 are actually visible. On the Hornby one, they're just really small, tiny. And I believe that is because this tooling is the old Lima tooling, which is technically somewhere between HO and OO. So it's actually, technically speaking, a little bit smaller than that one as well. Now, I don't know what's going to happen with the Accurascale one, what they're going to do to the Hattons Tooling in terms of new additions and what have you. Certainly they've said that they're going to improve the axle box issues that the Hattons ones had in the past, where the rotating axle boxes would fall off and what have you. Things like grills falling out, and minor things, but annoying things. It'd also be nice to have the proper lighting functions, because neither of these locos have quote-unquote proper lighting functions in them. Hornby one is just cheerfully basic, and it does the job for filling space and what have you, and getting a loco in your layout and everything else. But I'm really hoping that the Accurascale one brings something extra to the market to what we already have here. Certainly, without question of a doubt, it's going to be better than the Hornby one, but will it be better than the Batman one? Time will tell. So there's a lot coming through from Accurascale this year. I'm waiting for my 37 to come through, which I've pre-ordered since last year. We've got some more wagons, 31's coming through, the 92 just landed. Of course, the Delta came before. All of them had fantastic reviews, so I don't expect anything less from their take on of the Hattons Tooling. Especially with the modifications they've made, I think we could expect the new 66 from Accurascale to be an absolute knockout of the park. Now, what do you think to the new layout? Is it going well? What would you do differently? Let me know in the comments below. But that's it for this week, so until then guys, see you soon. Bye bye.